All right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is Diplomacy is Not an Option. Diplomacy is Not an Option is a strategy game set in a medieval fantasy world. Build your town and defenses, raise huge armies, and fight against massive hordes of enemies. How long can you survive? Diplomacy is not an option is a base building RTS where your task is to fight against vast hordes of enemies. Over 25,000 of them will storm your castle and on procedurally generated maps to boot. To survive, you must build fortifications, raise armies, master engineering, economy, and even magic. The active pause spell included. Experience warfare on a entirely new scale in 4 game modes: endless mode, story campaign, challenge mode, and sandbox mode. Additionally, you got a map editor to create your own scenarios in the medieval fantasy world of Diplomacy is Not an Option. Right, so this game was assigned to the Golux for review. So over to him for the details.
This is kind of a reasonably familiar base building, resource gathering type of game, mixed with what is essentially tower defense style enemy waves that occur every so often. Um, so I am clear about the amount and what I have done in this game. I did the tutorial, which walks you through like literally what the controls at the bottom of the screen do, which is useful because if you don't, it's kind of obtuse. And then on easy mode, the first map of the campaign thing, which took way longer than I thought it would. Um, so yeah, uh, it has the usual. You start out with a town hall, usually. If you don't, presumably that's the first thing you have to build. Um, and then you have buildings that you can build to attract and house more population, gather food, uh, either from berry bushes or from fishing in water places, but the water places apparently can become exhausted after an amount of time. Uh, Gathering wood and stone, and I think something else later on for materials. Um, and having builders to actually build the buildings that you'd command them to build, and then building things to defend you from the attackers. You're going through the tutorial, right, Betty?
Yeah.
Okay. So a thing that apparently is common enough that there was at least a not, but the thing is that here they require you to change the flag, which is you have to click on the uh, thing and plant a flag that is where they work on. The game does not actually tell you how to do that, and I was trying to figure that out for a while because I thought they were talking about like the flag that you can see on the fortress and stuff. So yeah, and you have to position things properly in your settlement to get optimal workflow if you want to do that. And yeah, you have a mini map that shows you for a duration before a wave, it shows you what direction that wave is going to be coming from. It also shows you where other stuff is. You also do have troops that you can use to walk around and expand your vision into the fog of war zones. And sometimes there's stuff that they can pick up there. Presumably there's less of that in later in the story, later in the campaign and harder missions. There's also an auto repair function for stuff that gets damaged, such as walls in an attack. You can build gates as well as walls, gates and towers. The gates can be opened or closed. Oh yes, there's gravedigger and cemetery things that let you get rid of dead bodies that are lying around and can get people sick, and first aid tents that can cure people who are sick. Those are all things you can build, and then a lot of other stuff that is a lot of it's upgrades from those things. So as you progress through the game, you need to balance your amount of incoming resources, your places to keep your population, and obviously you need to be building military units once you can do that to be able to actually defeat the enemies. There's also a research tech tree that lets you do things such as learn to stain your wood, I think, to make it last longer and be more durable. Get your workers and stuff comfortable shoes so they move faster, stuff like that. The map that I actually played in the actual game, this may be because I was on the easy difficulty because I'm not good at this kind of game. It took a while before, like, there's a long gap between the enemy things, but like on the first map, you do also need to explore the area in between waves, because there are other enemy encampments that are not the ones that are sending the waves, that if you don't clear them out, they will come and attack you with the last wave, which makes it much harder. There's also magic spells, of which one can summon 5 dark warriors to fight for you that consume soul stones, which you can pick up after defeating enemy units. And frankly, that can almost entirely, in easy mode, that can handle almost all of the actual martial stuff that you need if you have your guys go out and actually pick up the stones. So there's that. They only last for a little while, but they last long enough to take out a significant number of the enemies, at least on easy. On harder mode, you probably have to try harder. You can also set your soldiers to guard, like your particularly archers. You can have stand on a wall or on a tower, or I think on the top of the barracks, and shoot their arrows at things that come near you, or come near that, which is useful. Although maybe it's because I wasn't like zooming in and clicking on them individually, but once I had assigned guys like that, I was having a hard time getting them to go somewhere else. Which kind of brings me to one of the things about this game that annoys me, that I'm not sure how much is standard in this kind of game. But so you scroll the screen with WASD or arrow keys, zoom in or out with mouse scroll wheel. To turn the camera, you need to click and hold with the scroll wheel, which is kind of a pain. And then for other things, I found myself, like, for troops, you have to highlight them by either clicking them individually or zooming a thing around them with left click and then pointing them to a location with right click. But then you get off of commanding that troops around either by doing something else with the menu or by right clicking empty space. With a lot of buildings, you have to right-click them and then keep right-clicking, and then to get off of doing that, you have to left-click. Same with the spell casting, actually. I cast a spell a couple of times by accident while I was trying to get off of the spell casting menu. So I feel like while I kind of get why they were doing the way they did it, in terms of the priority of selecting and pointing things, I would have felt better if it was all like left click to confirm, right click to cancel or something. I don't know. I messed that up enough times that I thought it was notable.
Our fortifications are under attack.
I guess the other thing that I kind of noticed was that the cutscene that starts the first combat thing is freaking-terminable. It took way too long and nothing interesting was happening. You just have your king sitting at a desk, and he keeps getting interrupted by a guy who works for him saying he needs money for this or that. And then at the end, it's like, oh, also there's guys we need to actually fight. And I don't know if it literally took 5 minutes, but it felt like it. And 5 minutes of nothing visually interesting happening is a lot. And the dialogue is all in like weird Simlish, so it's not like there was gripping voice acting either.
They are attacking the walls.
The visual style is appealing enough. It's one that is pretty distinct at an operable distance, and if you zoom in, it doesn't look terrible.
They are attacking again.
Music is about what you expect. You get the usual kind of cute voice clips from units as you order them around. I think they do actually get tireder and get new voice clips as they like run out of energy and stuff, so that's nice. Although I could be getting a false positive on that. And yeah, do you guys have any questions or things? I feel like I've been trying to go over what I was experiencing, but
Not really.
like I found it easy, but I found it easy on purpose because I was playing it on easy, and the first map took like over a half an hour. I think it took almost an hour, and I didn't have time to replay it on a harder difficulty. Plus, I'm not good at dealing with the balance of like figuring out how to improve your food intake so that your people aren't starving, with your military thing so that when the enemy shows up they don't all kill you. And making sure you're getting enough wood to actually build the stuff you want to build. There's a lot more you can do with it, and there are like endless and design your own modes and challenge modes as well as the campaign. But I literally didn't have the time for that. And again, the fact that so much of this stuff is like you direct the things and then the little pawns do it at their own pace is not really the kind of experience I find the most enjoyable. So
Enemy forces are approaching.
I think the game is pretty competent, but it's definitely not a kind of game that I'm particularly fond of, so
Our fortifications are under attack.
that's a bit of a balance. I spent probably too much time on my thing on the map just trying to build walls with the appropriate number of gates just around my whole headquarters area. So yeah, I guess I don't know, Adam, what are they looking for price-wise on this?
So I do have to mention the current price drop because it's quite significant. I'm not sure if this is like a. I don't think this is just like it just released, although because this came out early October of this year, but it's already going for 55% off. So that means it's $13.50. Regular price $30.
I would probably aim for below 20, which it's currently at.
Like,
It's competent, and there's definitely plenty to do here if you have the patience and attention for the kind of multiple pulls on your attention that this kind of game tends to demand, and not the kind of person who focuses on building a wall and doesn't notice that when they broke in last time they destroyed the berry hut until you get a warning that you're the berry picker's hut until you get a warning that all of your people are starving. I still won, but like barely.
right. And I perhaps don't want to read too much into it, but seeing a discount of this steep proportion like a month and a half out doesn't really bode well for how well the game's doing in the marketplace. Because like this is literally over half off.
It did get an update recently, the undead mode, I guess, which is probably something in endless mode.
Right, but that doesn't sound like the kind of thing that would make this half off. Especially once again, this game is new. It's only a month and a half old. Maybe approaching 2 months. Like that's a steep price drop. So maybe I'm once again reading too much into it, but
that's fair. So yeah, buyer beware in terms of how the company. Also, I was not thrilled that there was an ad for another game on the main screen of the game. Just throwing that out there, but
was it the Scouring?
No, it's this.
Because they got a bundle
changed into a different one, so
they got a bundle.
Also, there is a shareware version of the game, so you can try it before you want to buy it.
Yes. Very weird that
whenever that's an option, I would generally recommend it unless the reason you're buying a game. Yeah, it's this Abra Cooking Dabra.
Oh yeah. They sent over a code, but it turns out I already had the demo, so the code didn't read. Like,
so yeah, definitely try the demo first because there is one, and unless you're buying a game specifically to give money to the people who made it, that's recommendable whenever it's possible.
Right. Anyway, so I think that'll about do it for this game. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review the Zombie Slayers.